Hey guys, welcome back to Heroic Elite Comics. In a moment, we're swinging into the heart of darkness as we unravel the dark tale of Spider-Man, the origin of Anti-Venom. So, tighten those webs, because we're about to explore an untold story that will leave you hanging on every web strand. Picking up with Peter Parker, this story serves as a reminder of everything happening in the Spider-Man world. It's a snapshot in the middle of everything, giving us a unique perspective. Now, let's take a closer look at the details. In the aftermath of One More Day, the Spider-Man publications were in a state of flux. Joe Quesada essentially asked, "Who wants to write Spider-Man?" Dan Slott stepped in, and the reshuffling allowed for the introduction of new concepts. This anti-venom origin story was part of that exploration. The story of Peter Parker's Timeless begins with a young science enthusiast who, after being bitten by a radioactive spider, gains spider-like abilities like strength and a spider sense. This transformation leads Peter to become Spider-Man, a hero motivated by the loss of his Uncle Ben. The narrative introduces new characters such as Menace and Mr. Negative, each adding their unique flair to Spider-Man's world. Regular characters like Harry Osborn also play a role in the unfolding events. One central plotline involves a conflict between Spider-Man and Menace, the latter being a character whose origin wasn't explored until later in the story. Menace, resembling a reimagining of the Green Goblin, acts more like a vigilante, targeting Spider-Man without a fixed allegiance. This dynamic creates an intriguing twist in the storyline, challenging the traditional Spider-Man vs. villain narrative. Amidst the superhero clashes, the story touches on a group of refugees brought into the United States, their reasons unclear at first. This subplot, although not immediately detailed, becomes relevant towards the story's end. It serves as a reminder of the broader issues that coexist with Spider-Man's battles, hinting at a complex world beyond the superhero conflicts. The narrative takes an interesting turn with the introduction of Frontline, a news outlet formed by characters like Robbie Robertson, Sally Floyd, and Ben Urich. Dexter Bennett's acquisition of the Daily Bugle and its transformation into a sensationalist tabloid prompts Peter Parker to leave, as the newspaper's journalistic integrity is compromised. The departure is not voluntary, as Peter's role shifts from a photographer to a member of the paparazzi, inadvertently contributing to a person's death. Prior to Peter's departure, other key figures, including Robbie Robertson, had already left the Daily Bugle, forming Frontline. Initially a blog, Frontline evolves into a comprehensive news company after the events of Civil War. This transition highlights the changing landscape of journalism in Spider-Man's world, with characters adapting to new challenges and ethical considerations. In the city, there's this news outlet called Frontline. They see themselves as a trustworthy news source, steering away from flashy tabloid content. Instead, they're digging into real stories. One of their recent focuses is a guy named Randall Crown, who's running for mayor. The twist, he seems to be connected to people Spider-Man encountered, individuals brought into the US through trafficking. Frontline's investigation points to Randall Crown working with an unknown third party to bring people into the country, but the motives remain unclear. Now, let's shift gears to Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts. This happens after the aftermath of Civil War and the Secret Invasion. Norman Osborn takes charge after Tony Stark's ousting, disbands S.H.I.E.L.D., introduces Hammer, and uses the Thunderbolts for his personal campaigns. You might be wondering about Eddie Brock. Transitioning to a place called Feast, we learn that Aunt May is volunteering there. Feast stands for Food Emergency Aid Shelter and Train, run by a man named Mr. Lee. Its goal is to help homeless or displaced individuals get back on their feet. This whole introduction ties back to Betty Brand. She's working for Dexter Bennett, who supports Randall Crown. Bennett wants his newspaper to be Crown's media arm, aiming to discredit any info opposing Crown's candidacy. Now, let's delve into the characters. Betty Brand has a long history in Spider-Man comics, predating even Gwen Stacy as Peter Parker's romantic interest. Her role now is to dig up information discrediting anyone challenging Randall Crown's credibility, following Dexter Bennett's directive. Frontline's investigation and Norman Osborn's actions add layers to the city's dynamics. Frontline strives for credibility, shedding light on potential corruption within the mayoral race. Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts, on the other hand, represent a shift in power after Civil War and Secret Invasion. Feast, led by Mr. Lee and involving Aunt May, introduces a different perspective. It's a place aiming to help those in need, emphasizing the human aspect amidst political intrigue. Aunt May's involvement adds a personal touch, linking Spider-Man's world to real issues faced by the homeless and displaced. Eddie Brock's whereabouts remain a mystery, keeping readers intrigued. Theists focus on aiding the less fortunate contrasts with the political maneuvers surrounding Randall Crown and Dexter Bennett. It highlights the diverse aspects of Spider-Man's world, from superhero battles to social issues. In this situation, Bill Hollister is running against Randall Crown, and Dexter Bennett instructs someone to investigate a person named Martin Lee. Lee is allegedly supporting Hollister's campaign, and Bennett wants information to discredit Hollister by linking him to criminal activity, such as trafficking. Now, Betty Brand appears at the Feast facility, and this is where Eddie Brock's story picks up. In previous issues, Marvel introduced a storyline called The Hunger in Spectacular Spider-Man Volume 2. Initially, Eddie Brock's character was portrayed as seeking revenge on Spider-Man after his career was ruined. However, Marvel later revised this backstory, revealing that Eddie had cancer, and the Venom symbiote bonded with him to stay alive. Between 2004 and 2007, Marvel explored Eddie Brock's struggles with the symbiote and his acceptance of his impending death. Despite Marvel initially moving the symbiote to Scorpion, Eddie ultimately goes to the Feast facility, meets Mr. Lee, and is seemingly cured of cancer. Mr. Lee, also known as Mr. Negative, possesses the ability to heal people by touch. However, in this instance, when he touches Eddie again, it reactivates the dormant Venom symbiote in Eddie's body. This sets the stage for Eddie's transformation into Anti-Venom. After the events of One More Day, and possibly during Brand New Day, Peter Parker asked Doctor Strange to erase the world's memory of him being Spider-Man. Despite revealing his identity during Civil War, Doctor Strange's spell made everyone forget. Norman Osborn, unaware of Peter's identity, only knows Peter takes Spider-Man photos. He frames Spider-Man by placing spider tracker devices on murder victims, making it seem like Spider-Man killed them. Norman, wanting to find Peter, flees Peter's apartment when Peter's cop roommate shows up. Spider-Man confronts Norman at his base, but Norman sends his Thunderbolts, including Venom, to capture Spider-Man. The Venom symbiote, tracking its former host Eddie Brock, clashes with Eddie, turning him into Anti-Venom. In the chaos of the Spider-Man, Anti-Venom, and Venom battle, Menace kidnaps Bill Hollister. Spider-Man and Anti-Venom team up against Venom, but the Thunderbolts, led by Norman, intervene, prompting Spider-Man's escape. Anti-Venom, having cured Venom's host Matt Gargan, tries to cleanse Spider-Man's blood, unaware it would strip him of powers. Menace faces off with Norman. Spider-Man and Anti-Venom continue battling, Thunderbolts arrive, and Spider-Man escapes again. Norman reveals his partnership with Randall Crown in human trafficking, planning to exploit Spider-Man's weakness using a tracking device on his suit. Eddie Brock, as Anti-Venom, infiltrates Osborn's group to monitor them. As Scorpion loses Venom abilities, Norman, aided by Radioactive Man, tries to extract the symbiote from Matt Gargan. Osborn then uses the extracted chemicals on a character named Freak, introduced earlier as a drug addict in the Amazing Spider-Man story. Freak injected himself with chemicals from Kurt Connors, the Lizard, gaining the ability to adapt to any situation, making him seemingly immortal. Freak's unique ability involves undergoing a crisis, like being burned alive, and emerging immune to that danger. Norman Osborn is counting on exploiting Freak's powers for his plans. Norman Osborn concocts a plan to create a potent venom by injecting the antivenom compound into Freak's body. The super venom is designed to wreak havoc, posing a significant danger with just a few drops capable of causing fatalities. Osborn returns to his lab, tweaking the chemical to reignite the powers of Matt Gargan, transforming him back into Venom. This event mirrors the resurgence of the Green Goblin, adding complexity to Osborn's split psyche. Bullseye and the Thunderbolts execute Osborn's mission by spying on Peter Parker. They utilize the camera frequency in Parker's chest device as a homing device to track him. However, their plans are disrupted when Anti-Venom unexpectedly intervenes, teaming up with Spider-Man to thwart their adversaries. The dynamic duo manages to defeat the soldiers and knock out Bullseye, escaping the confrontation. Meanwhile, Matt Gargan undergoes a slow process of Venom symbiote reemergence due to a serum injection. As Scorpion, he receives an upgraded suit, setting the stage for a comparison between Scorpion and Scorpion as Venom. Anti-Venom informs Spider-Man about Osborn's whereabouts, guiding him to the Osborn Research Group. The collaboration between Spider-Man and Anti-Venom showcases their effective teamwork, with Anti-Venom shape-shifting as Spider-Man to confuse their enemies. Green Goblin makes a dramatic entrance, engaging in a brief but action-packed fight with Spider-Man, providing fans with an exciting showdown. It is revealed that the kidnapped individuals were subjected to experiments, raising questions about the story's direction. In the midst of the conflict, Scorpion injects antivenom with a barb, stripping Eddie Brock of his venom abilities. Norman Osborn activates a self-destruct sequence in the building, threatening the lives of everyone inside, including Spider-Man and Freak. Although they manage to escape, several unanswered questions linger, particularly regarding the fate of those experimented on. Anti-Venom reflects on his second chance at life, questioning how he should embrace his newfound heroism. His suit reactivates, and he embarks on a journey with unspecified actions, leaving room for future developments. The story concludes with anticipation for the return of Venom storyline in Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to like my video. Those tell YouTube that more people should watch my videos, and hit the bell so you will get a notification as soon as my videos post.